You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey, folks, welcome to the Beans and Dice podcast, Thursday night live call-in show. I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
I'm Wayne.
I'm Dan.
The Quizmaster.
Quizmaster.
It is Thursday night, and we are here live where we talk about how you game and take your phone calls to talk about games. But before we do that, we open up the show with some fun stuff. So today we're going to open up with the Give It the Beans. We will do a Give It the Beans on Camel Up. Then we'll give you some pork and beans, fun segment that Dan and I came up with. Then we'll go into the Twig, This Week in Gaming, where we'll talk about different games that we've played this week, any hauls, anything to do with gaming. And then we'll wrap that bad boy up with some OGG, other geeky goodness. And that'll be today's show. So phone lines will open up closer to 9:30-ish. I'll open up the phone lines. But for now, we will get this thing started with a Give It the Beans.
Started.
Let's go. Give It the Beans today is brought to you by Camel Up. Camel Up. This is a Lookout Games is the copy that I have. I know Eagerspiel did a copy, but this is the copy that I have is Lookout Games. It is a racing game for 3 to 8 players, plays in about 30 minutes. It says it's 8 and up. It's Egyptian-themed camel racing betting game. So it's themed in Egypt. You're what appear to be worldwide travelers in Egypt betting on camels that are racing. The crazy part about this are just that, the crazy camels. The crazy camels come in and they get to race in the opposite direction of all the other camels, wreaking havoc in the game. So what are the beans? The beans are the basics. The enjoyment, the aesthetics, the negatives, and the summary. And in the summary, we give you buy, try, or deny is how we tend to do our summaries here on the Beans and Dice podcast. We try to keep it simple. So let's get into the basics. How does it play? In Camel Up, you're going to play between 3 and 8 players. You're going to be playing the role of or a character. So not really a role, but you'll be given a character just to identify you separately. They don't do anything asymmetrically different. But what you're going to be doing is watching camels race around a board. Each camel, each racing camel, as they call them, has a different color. There are 5 racing camels in the game, and those 5 racing camels have a different color and a matching corresponding die that goes along with that color. You're going to take all those D6 dice, and I believe they range between 1 and 3 on the numerical value of the D6s. You're going to put those dice into this pyramid, cup, dice shaker, dice tower, dice contraption. And then on top of that, you're going to throw in this 6 gray dice. And the gray dice represents the 2 crazy camels I talked about a little earlier. The 2 crazy camels, one is white, one is black. They get a gray die to represent both of them. So you got 6 dice in a pyramid, and players are going to take turns doing one of the following things. 1, they can move the race along. So they can take an Egyptian pyramid token, and at that point, shake 1 die out of the pyramid and activate that color that comes out, that number of spaces. That camel will then move around the board, that number of spaces based on the color. The second thing you can do is you can take a betting ticket. There are 5 stacks of betting tickets, 1 for each color of the racing camels. There are 4 tickets per stack. In each stack, the top ticket, that's the first one that's visible, has the highest value, and then the bottom 2 tickets have the lowest value. So those that get tickets first can win more. They're going to pay out based on, did that color ticket that you buy place first or place second? And then anything other than first or second, you actually pay back to the bank. So that's how you take betting tickets. Next, you have an option to take the overall betting bets. You're going to have a hand of cards, 1 of each color for the racing camels. You can place one of those colored cards that you have of yours on one of the overall betting stacks. There are 2 overall betting stacks. You can either bet overall winner or you can bet overall loser. If you bet overall winner and you go in early and you're right, you're going to win money, more money than people that come in later. So you want to get there sooner. You want to place those bets first because the first persons to go to the overall betting spots will gain more money. If you place the wrong bet, you will lose money. I think it's just minus $1 for each wrong bet. And then finally, the last thing you can do is move a spectator token. Each player is going to get a spectator token. You can place that spectator token on one of the spaces on the track, and you can either cheer on a camel that lands there by giving it +1 movement, or you can boo the camel that lands on there by giving it a -1 movement. I believe those are all the actions, if I'm trying to remember this game right.
And we know Carlos reads the rules thoroughly each and every time.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I will clarify one thing, that the black camel is an expansion promo thingy. It's just the white. It's 5 colors plus the white camel.
Okay, well, this is the new edition of Camel Up, and it comes right into the base game.
Oh, does it? Okay.
So, Wayne, I think you picked up a new copy?
I did, yeah.
The new copy comes with white and black built in.
Interesting, okay.
It didn't even say anything about it being an expansion. So they must have added that in.
Yep.
Yeah.
There is one final action that is able to be played with 6 or more players. There's an action where you can create a partnership. You can ask another player to be your partner, and they cannot refuse. At that point, you swap your partnership cards, and then each of you has the opportunity to use that card to trigger bonus dollars, to trigger one of their bets as if it was yours. So it's like, if I think Rob made a good bet, if I'm the first, I can be like, Rob, we're partners. And you can't refuse, and you got to give me your card, and I can use your card to activate one of your bets that you won with to win money with. So that's, I don't know if that's expansion or...
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So we're going to do this.
I haven't heard of that. That's new.
We're going to do this until a leg of a race occurs. A leg of a race occurs when 5 dice come out of the dice tray. So 5 camels have been activated. It triggers the end of a leg. A leg of the race will then score any of the betting tickets, not the overall bets, but the betting tickets. So you'll gain money and lose money based on the betting tickets, and then you're going to reset the betting tickets in the order I described before. You know, the top one gives out the most payout, second gives out less, third and fourth give out the least. And then you put the dice back into the pyramid and restart another leg. And you're going to keep doing legs of the race until a camel crosses the finish line, which triggers the end of the game, where you'll immediately do one more leg scoring, and then overall scoring. He with the most money wins the game. That's Camel Up. That's the basics.
You missed one of the basic things, though, that makes the game interesting and exciting is the stacking of the camels. I don't think you mentioned that at all, did you?
We didn't talk about movement with the camels. When a camel moves, they don't just move into a space. If another camel is already in the space that the camel ends in, that camel goes camel up right on top of the other camel. And that camel will then become the first place camel. You look at the stack of the camels top to bottom. If there's a stack of camels, the top camel is in first and then on down.
Yeah, I think
and if stack 3 or 4 high.
Yeah, 3 or 4 high. And if the die that comes out is the camel on the bottom, it moves everybody, even the people above it. So that's where the real sort of funkiness happens. Chaos is you're rooting sometimes for you want the die for the camel on top because you want him to keep moving and leave everyone else behind, or your camel is on the bottom and you want it to move, because you've bet heavily on it type thing. So there's fun there.
And it's crazy because you get these 2 other black and white camels that are moving in the opposite direction, and they only move in the opposite direction counterclockwise to the racetrack. And if they end up having camels on top of them, whenever the black or white camel move, that camel takes along all those camels backward. So it really adds some chaos theory to the game.
Mm-hmm. Actually, the first time I played was at Dice Tower. It was with our Beans and Dice group. I can't remember who was teaching it, but whoever taught the game, Michelle, she took that camel completely out. She's like, I don't like that chaos. It just kind of ruins the game. She goes, so we didn't even play with that camel. We played with the stacking, but all the camels moved forward. Nobody ever went backwards. So
Rob and his Euro gamers can't stand the chaos.
There you go. Too much chaos.
So now we move to the E, the enjoyment of the game. What are some of the things that we enjoy with Camel Up? I think for me, right off the bat in the enjoyment piece is that chaos. And it wasn't prevalent in my game until the end of the game. Most of the game was pretty standard, pretty down, how would I say, down force, pretty ready, set, bet, kind of okay, it's a race. I'm just going to use strategy and statistics to try to figure this out. And then as we got towards the end of the actual race, when we got around that last corner, we met up with the two crazy camels, and like chaos ensued, and it was so much fun.
Strategery.
Yeah, there you go. All out the window.
The enjoyment for me is that it goes back to the same thing as chaos, but I think what it is it's chaos in a quick format, right? And I think that's what makes this game and like Thunder Road, when you play with the right people, is like it's chaos in quick format. If you were playing a 2-hour game of this, it would get stale and monotonous and oh great, another chaos thing happened. So it's the quick play. It's that leg done, score, and the legs are only as long as those 5 dice. So it's boop, 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 done. So there's a very finite amount of chaos. So it is a controlled chaos is I think where the enjoyment really comes in, because it's going to be quick, it's going to be dirty, it's going to happen quick, and there's the hoot and hollering that you get with Ready Set Bet, where it's like, come on, there's 3 dice in there, and you really need the blue one to come out, and you click the button, and it's not the blue one. Everyone goes, so it's that's the enjoyment, that encapsulated chaos.
Big part of the enjoyment for me is also the decision of when to bet on a camel, either to win or lose, because you want to be the first one. So it's like, all right, well, this is the round. I'm feeling pretty good about the blue camel. So when it gets around to me, I'm third in turn order. I'm going to lay that.
Nope. He lost.
He laid it. He laid it.
That camel
and
killed
that's a big part of the race, is that decision space of
when to bet.
Because you get $1 every time you move a camel. So whenever you activate the camel, you get $1 for doing that. An English pound, Egyptian pound, as they call it. But as Rob was saying, you have to balance that. Do I move a camel and get $1 there, or do I now place that bet?
Yep. Rob, you're muted. You can't hear. No, can't hear you.
He's working on his audio situation over there on the Wesley Chapel Beans and Dice. And then a big part of that for me too is the legs, right? Wayne brought it up. The game itself is a fast game, 30-minute game. The legs, they're so quick to happen. You're getting little rushes of dopamine every time you're scoring a leg, getting a few points here and there, getting some points for having activated camels. So there's always these little injects of dollars at you throughout the game. Whereas a ready, set, bet or a downforce, you don't see the rewards until the full end of the race. So that little inject of money throughout the race, these little side leg bets, really improve the feelings of the game. So then another enjoyment for me is being able to control the pace of the game. So my son got an early lead. He had some really good leg bets up front. And then from then on, he realized, I've got a good stack of coins. I need to rush the end of this race. And it became his mission, no matter what I felt, the right decision was take a betting chip. Because one of these betting tickets, that red camel is going to end in first place. We know it. Like, we know it's going to end soon. It's going to be in first place. No one else is catching up to it. Taking that betting ticket's the right answer, but in his mind, rushing the end game was the right answer, and that's all he kept doing was activating camels to try to control the pace of the game.
Yeah, I agree. That's the best part of this game, and I think this game is not a new game, so it's been around a while, and it has stayed very popular because of that, right? I think games that have longevity now, whether they be a 3-hour Euro or a 30-minute fast game like this, you have to hit the cadence right? There has to be those, not necessarily the quick, fun, simple turns, but it has to be like am I looking forward to my next turn? Am I looking for the next turn of event? Is the pace of the game moving at a rate that keeps me engaged? And this game keeps you engaged the entire time because you're waiting for that next person, and as the turns are coming around, you're looking at the next person going, what is it? What are they? Don't
please don't pull a die.
Don't pull a die, or don't pull that bet, or I needed to come. So
I need one more bet. I just need to do one more bet.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Rob, you back?
Nope.
No, he's not. All right. No. So then we got so there's E for enjoyment, and we're gonna go to A for aesthetics. And Wayne, I've never seen the first version. I don't know if you have the first version or if you only have the second.
It's really, I mean, the camels are all the same. It's not the biggest difference between the first and second version is the pyramid. In the first version, the pyramid was cardboard and you put it together and it kind of didn't work super well. And in the new version, it's plastic and it kind of doesn't work super well. But at least it stays together, right?
Yeah.
Dan, you played either version?
No, I've never played it.
Okay,
that's why I'm being quiet.
Okay, I was wondering. Yeah, I figured that was the case. But yeah, I don't think there's tremendous difference between the first. There's some art on the cover; they make it clearer that it's camel up, not camel cup, or whatever. And then there's the dice tower or pyramid is really the biggest difference. I think, as far as I remember.
All right, did we get Robert back?
Rob, can you hear us?
Mic check, Robert. Negative. He can't hear us. All right, we can't hear him. Okay, so let's talk about some aesthetics. For me, the artwork is strong. The characters, I don't know what we call them, cartoons, the design of the characters, it really does feel themed to that World War I era, pre-World War II Egyptian, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Right. The characters here, you got the lady with the French beret on and the scoundrel with the cap, and they're cute, very cute art. The colors are simple to tell, but each camel not only has a color, it also has a symbol for those that are colorblind. So like the red camel always has a circle on it. The green camel always has a hex or a pentagon on it. So you can tell color-wise that they thought about that. The tokens are thick, and then the money is actual plastic chips. So you got actual plastic coins, and they could have gave you cardboard coins, but they chose to go with plastic. So that's very nice of them.
Yeah, I think the first version was cardboard.
Cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
The camels themselves are plastic. It's a thicker plastic. It's kind of weird to say. I don't know.
It seems like that's really the biggest difference. It went from like cardboard and wood tokens to plastic.
Yep, and they stack easy. The plastic ones kind of stick a little bit, especially the black and the white camels where they're facing the wrong direction. I've had where you pick up a camel and it kind of grabs the ones underneath it and topple the stack, but that wasn't that big of a deal. But the reason people are here is the pyramid. That's the main gimmick of this game, is this pyramid dice tray cup mechanism where you put the dice inside the pyramid, turn it upside down, shake it, push a button, and one die is supposed to fall out. Rarely did I have an issue with it. For the most part, when someone shook it, flip it, and pushed the button, we got one die out of it. Wayne, what issues did you have?
It's finicky a little bit. So, I mean, you pick it up and shake it and you put it down. The button for the dice release, you have to press it really fully. If you only get a half press, you might not get a out. If you hit it too long and lift up too quickly, you might get two dice out. So it is a little finicky. It's definitely still much better than the cardboard one, at least that we used in the past. But anytime you have a dice tower or a dice thing in those games, Shogun and what's the other one?
Wallenstein.
No, I'm trying to think of the Knizia Feld one that came out. It had 50 million different actions, but it had a dice tower that people kept talking about. I'll think of it, but they never quite work perfectly, right? There's always little issues with it, but the plastic one certainly works a lot better than the cardboard one. But I did notice, at least with my copy, that you have to really hit the button in pretty good to make sure it's fully in, and then lift and let
it
go.
was annoying. I do agree. The gimmick was a little annoying. We could have had a dice cup and just pick one die out of the cup. Having to put them inside there, shake it, turn it. But my son loved it. He loved the pyramid. It was a great gimmick.
The toy factor makes it worthwhile.
Yep. Let's go to negatives. Negatives on this, I could not think of any. Right. I really just chaos.
I really can't. Yeah, the only negative would be if you do have the dice delivery system, if it doesn't work, if it over time the mechanism starts to stick more or gets a little warped. It's plastic, so it can bend a little bit. That's really the only negative I can see. I mean, really, or there's not. You could bet on some horses or some camels early, and then they get swept away. But I think you can have games of this where you do miserable, but it's only 30 minutes, so you just re-rack and play again, or you move on to another game. So the games where you do poorly in this game, could that be a negative? Yeah, because there's some luck of the die roll, luck of this, luck of that. But it's such a short game. Who cares? So.
Oh, I didn't bring up in the aesthetics, Wayne. I opened the board up, and I was so surprised. As soon as I opened the board up, this pyramid like oasis popped up. It's like these pop-up books from when we were kids.
What copy did you get?
This was just the most recent version. I think I heard Robert in the background there.
Yeah, maybe.
I think his mic is coming back.
I almost need to go get my copy to see.
Yeah, Rob, I think I got some audio from you.
Hey.
Did your version of Camel Up have a pop-up tree? Did you have a pop-up tree?
I did not have a pop-up tree in mine. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what copy you got, man.
It was in small print. If the pop-up tree stays up for more than 4 hours, seek immediate medical attention.
You might have a problem.
Right. I'm gonna go run and get my copy real quick because I don't think I have a pop-up.
That was a full surprise. Like I opened the board, and I'm like, whoa, what's this in my face?
Well, I know the old version certainly did not have that. So the one I don't know if there was one or two printings previously. I think there might have actually been two. This was the third time.
This was a very reasonably priced game. So like to think about the pop-up tree, the plastic pyramid, the components in this game, all the plastic coins. I was very pleasantly surprised with that. I can't believe I forgot to bring that up in the aesthetics. But negative-wise, Wayne only had chaos. I only had chaos. I can't think of anything else negative with this game. Robert, other than your game teacher taking away one of the funnest aspects of the game, what negatives did you have?
I played twice. Like I said, the one time we took those backwards camels out. The second time I played was with those camels. But I can't think of a whole lot of negatives either. I mean, it's simple to teach. It's fairly quick. Hey, he's got the pop-up. There you go. But
I haven't played this one yet. So
yeah, chaos would be the only thing. Is if you've got a group of serious Euro gamers and you start throwing in all that chaos, it can be a little frustrating. That hey, I want to make a bet. I got the odds. I know who's probably going to win. If the dice roll the right way. But other than that, it's just a fun game.
All right. So as we get to the end of this summary and open up the phone lines here shortly, in summary, I think this is a game that any gaming family or any gaming person should own. I loved Ready Set Bet, right? Like Michael Lorenzo, the Your Turn crew, like all of us getting together and playing some Ready Set Bet was awesome. However, that is a bigger group game. That's more of a party game. This one, I think, gave me so much of those feels of the excitement, the stand-up moments in a smaller package that can play 3, 4, all the way up to 8 players without really, losing anything. For me, this is now probably my favorite racing betting game.
So buy, try, or deny, you're saying a buy?
It's a must. This is a must-have.
It's a must-buy. Okay.
2 out of 10.
All right. 2 out of 10, exactly.
So I hadn't played my copy yet. So I've only played. I took my copy out and I unboxed it, but I didn't undo the board. I kind of messed with the pyramid. That's what I was saying. Like it's sticking a little bit. So hey, I got the pop-up thing too. Cool. And yeah, I confirm. Mine also has the white and the black camels. I'm a buy on this, and here's why. Because often it's a game that's been around a while, been out 10+ years probably now, and you can often pick it up pretty cheap. And so given the price of games today, newish games are in that $60 range and more, you can regularly find this on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and even at your local game stores much cheaper. So for the price, you can't beat this game. I think
3 to 8 players.
3 to 8 players, 30 minutes of game time. You can pick it up for $30. 100%.
Yeah.
Now if this game was $60 or $70, that might be more of a try thing. But the fact that you can regularly get this game for sub $40, it's a buy.
I would agree. I think I'm in the same boat. If even for your serious Euro gamer, if you enjoy a fairly quick racing game that's just a little bit of silliness, a little bit of chaos, or sometimes a lot of chaos, I say this game is definitely one that you should probably pick up. And like Wayne said, you can usually get it pretty cheap, so that's a big part of it. For a higher price point, I think I agree, would probably be kind of a borderline. The components are good; they're not great, but I mean that little tower and everything, I call tower the pyramid, is a really cool, neat little gimmick on it. One of the versions I played, the pyramid didn't work so well, so we kind of had to ditch the pyramid. So it's mechanical, so I mean it could have its problems, but anyway, I'd say overall that this is, if you can get it at a decent price, I think it's a must buy if you like racing games and you don't mind a little bit of chaos. Yeah.
Yep.
And Dan, I know you're not on a buying trip at all anytime soon. Like that's not your thing, Dan. But in the way we described it, what are your thoughts on Camel Up?
I think I might not like it because you mentioned Ready Set Bet, and I do not like that game. Not that I think it's a bad game. I don't like real-time games where you have to do things. I am awful at them. The few times I've played Ready Set Bet, as soon as the race starts, I just start plonking stuff down and just sit back and see what happens.
And that's where I think you might like this one, though, Dan, is because it's not real time.
It's turn-based.
It's turn-based. So on your turn, do you take the bet or not take the bet? I know you like racing games. You like a little chaos, and you like betting.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy this game. I don't know if you would necessarily buy it, but I think if we bust it out and be like, let's play, be like, I like this because it's not turn-based. It's racing. I do think you would like it. I think my guess would be it would be like a try for you. But yeah,
we'll find out when we get it to the table with you.
Yeah, we'll have to get it to the table.
Yeah, maybe
that's been another edition of Giveth the Beans, where we give you the beans on games that we play and like.
Yep.
For more Give It the Beans, suggest any games that you want to see us play. You can email us at beansanddice@gmail.com. Let us know what games you think we should be giving you the beans on. And at this point, we will be opening up the phone lines. 813-618-7099 is the phone number. We'll open up the phone lines to talk to you about what you've been up to gaming-wise. It's funny, guys, that phone number, I was at one of the stores the other day buying something, and they asked me for my phone number in order to pull up my account. And I quickly yell out, 813-618-7099. They go, we can't find you in this system. And that's when I'm like, oh, wow, how do I explain this one away?
That's not my actual phone number. That's my OnlyFans number.
For my Beans and Dice show, board games and stuff? Yeah, no. So that number is seared into my head. Yeah, but call in 813-618-7099. Talk to us about what you've been up to gaming-wise. You know what, guys? I know we do Beans and Dice. Still a little hungry. I'm ready for some pork and beans. Are y'all ready for some pork and beans?
Yep.
In pork and beans, we're going to have different reviews provided to us on different games. One of them is a lie. One of them is real. It's going to be our job to suss out the pork from the beans. Can we find the beans, the gems, the real ones? Or can we find the pork, the fake review?
So it's that corporate, like, two truths and a lie. Like, everyone's going to give up and, figure out which one's the
exactly.
lie. Yeah, okay.
And my man Dan, the quiz master, is going to run this one.
All right, we got 6 games we're going to go through. I've picked reviews that were multiple sentences long each. That way it talks about the game more than just a short little one sentence, I hate this game type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And each game, 2 of these are going to be real reviews that I pulled off of the internet, and one is going to be one that I wrote. So we're going to start, and I picked games that are fairly popular, so it'd be interesting. So the first one we're going to do is Brass Birmingham.
Ooh, number one. My number one game of all time right now, I guess.
Nope, absolutely. So, Wayne, give me a number between 1 and 3.
3.
3. Okay. So I'm going to read this review. This is the first review for Brass Birmingham. This game is the epitome of convoluted. The game could not end soon enough. Will not play again. 120 minutes for max play time is way understated. More realistically, double this time. The game grinds to a halt with analysis paralysis, as you can't really plan ahead because one play that has any meaningful impact could be blocked by another player when it gets to your turn. If you enjoy games, take a hard pass on this one.
Okay.
That's review number 1. Rob, A or B?
Well, let's go B.
All right. This is another review for Brass Birmingham. This game is overhyped nightmare that sucks all the joy out of playing. The endless phases and absurdly convoluted mechanics are nothing but a headache with zero payoff. It drags on forever, wasting your time while offering no tension, excitement, or variety. I genuinely hated every second of it. Never again.
Nice.
I feel like those could be actual reviews. Yes.
Well, all right. I think this is one.
And here's the last one for Brass Birmingham. I know people really value this game highly. I tried to play this game and I hated it. Why does a game need multiple phases? It just makes your brain have a hard time for no benefit, in my opinion. I played many other Euro games. Usually I understand the complex rules, but even a super heavy game like Twilight Imperium made much, much more sense. This game somehow made no sense. I think this game single-handedly turned my partner off board games for the rest of her life.
Okay.
I feel like that one's real. Like that one, I think is real.
That's a lie.
No,
That's a lie.
I can see that one being real. I think the lie is number 1. I think the one about if you like gaming, stay away from this one.
No, I think
that was
2.
a bit excessive. That was a bit excessive.
I think
1 is the pork.
No.
All right, so Carlos, you're saying number 1?
I say number 1 is the pork.
I say number 2.
3.
See, number 1 with that whole if you like games, don't play this one. Like I think that's a bit much.
Oh, if you enjoy games, take a hard pass on this one.
Yes,
that's the one you're picking.
I think that's pork.
Okay,
and Wayne, you're locked in at number 2.
Number 2.
And Rob. All right. Well, the correct answer is Wayne. You get the point, buddy.
I was
Wayne gets 1 point.
But that last one got it for me. Yeah.
No, the last one was almost too absurd to be fake. It was like.
But there was nuggets of truth in there. There's some real nuggets of truth in there. Like, I really think Twilight Imperium 4th Edition is a lot easier to grok than Brass Birmingham.
The rule set, Brass Birmingham's rules are not complicated. It's mastering it that's the problem.
That's how Dan got me. Dan got me because he knows my love of TI4. And if you compliment TI4, that's got to be the truth. Cannot be a lie.
Real women.
That was good.
All right.
So before we go to the next one, let me jump into the comments real quick because we got some folks in there. I want to make sure we welcome them too and remind y'all it is a call-in show. 813-618-7099 is the number. In the chat, we've got Pablo42 talking about I suck at board games, but I am actually really good at Camel Up for some reason because random chaos is what Pablo needs to win.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Let's see. What's the tallest tower you got so far? We ended up with all except 1 camel. I think the tallest we got was 4 camels, and it dang near ruined our game because of the way it landed. Like if the black camels, or I'm sorry, the booing spectator token, when a camel gets booed, it goes backwards 1 step. But that stack of camels goes underneath whatever stack it ends up on. So that action of a group of camels going backwards and going underneath the other ones put that last camel in first. And it just kind of shook up the rest of that last bit of the game. But that was, I think, 4 camels. What about y'all?
I think 4 is about as much as I've seen. 4 or 5.
4. Yeah, I think 4 is what I've seen. Yeah.
Bill Fogarty in the chat says Merry-Go. I think Wayne, you were trying to remember a game with a weird dice tower.
Yep. I'm gonna look it up right now as we talk. But yeah.
by Feld.
America. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Is that Stefan Feld? Yeah.
Bill Fogarty. I'm not familiar with Bill in the chat.
So Bill Fogarty is actually a buddy of mine. He has probably I think, Dan, he might have more board games than you ever did. He might be in the 5,000 or 6,000 board game range. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's mentally ill also.
Welcome, Bill. One of us.
One of us.
Pablo says, and I do not endorse this comment. Pablo says, I recommend the spin-off Camel Up off-season. Totally different type of game, but lots of fun. It has a push your luck mechanic. I don't endorse that one.
I think the game I was talking about was Marrakesh. Marrakesh has a dice tower that people complain the caches didn't all fall through right. Yeah.
Right. Yep. You're right. Yep.
I wasn't happy with Camel Up off season.
Oh yeah, you played that. I played it 2 or 3 times now, but yeah, it's definitely a very different game now.
I was really hoping to enjoy it in the way I heard people enjoy Camel Up. I've never played Camel Up, but I've heard all the stories of it, and I played Camel Up off season, and that was more like it was a weird set collection thing going.
2K. Sure. Bill's only got 2K games. I thought he was way more than that, but 2,000 games is still.
Bill says he wants to see us compare Long Shot, the dice game, versus Ready, Set, Bet.
Ready, Set, Bet, yeah.
What I can tell you about Long Shot, the dice game, is that goes in my backpack. That is a great solo game, and it is small. That is one thing it does better than Ready, Set, Bet.
I like Long Shot.
Long Shot's good. Yeah.
Only yes. I like Long Shot. Long Shot. The dice game is the one I think we played at your house, right, Carlos?
Yes.
Before games. Yeah, I
like that one. Big chunky wooden horses,
wood chips that moving around. Yeah.
Not only do you bet on the horses, but you can buy horses, so then you end up winning the prizes that they win.
Yep. I think the biggest difference there is the real time aspect. Ready, Set, Bet is a lot of fun, and I love Ready, Set, Bet, but you have to be down. Like Dan made the comment is. You can freeze up. Either you place all your bets right away, and then you're sitting there watching every horse that you bet off of, fly ahead, or you wait too long. There's a timing to it that you have to get down. That can be tough for people. I think that real time aspect of Ready, Set, Bet. But I think with Ready, Set, Bet is like it's real time. It's hooting and hollering. It's 7 or 8. It really works well with 7 or 8 people. You need a big group. You need loudness. You need craziness. So you need some of that with Long Shot and with Camel Up. You could play 3, 4, 5 players, and it's not as raucous and fast paced and crazy. It's just you're playing the game. Yeah.
And if Mike was here, Lorenzo, he'd tell you it's a roll and write, and that's all that matters. The only thing it's missing is trick taking. If it had trick taking and roll and write, it would be amazing.
Right.
Horse racing with trick taking and roll and write. Somebody
it doesn't have somebody calling the horses. Mike enjoys that too.
Yeah, that's fun.
Thank you, Bill, for the comment in the chat. Much appreciated. We're going to carry on with some more pork and beans right now.
Yeah.
Wayne is in the lead with 1 point. Rob and I have Goose Egg. We are at Goose Egg. What's the next game, Dan?
Before we move on to the next game, I grabbed a couple of small little reviews from each one also that I thought were funny, and these are for Brass Birmingham. These are just honorable mentions. This game literally murdered my dog.
Literally. It fell off the shelf and killed the dog.
Jesus, that's true.
Next, boring and overrated. I guess BGG has reached the geriatrics.
Okay.
That would be an 18xx game as the number 1 overall, but
that's why we shouldn't allow the youth on the internet. No youths on the internet.
Another honorable mention. It says, I like the game. I don't like the trolls of this community, so I gave it a 1.
I remember that debacle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then another one is Martin Wallace was a jerk to my good friend Jimmy.
Oh, that's it, huh? End of comment.
Okay.
Maybe Jimmy earned it. I don't know. We need to hear the whole story.
That's all he put.
Martin Wallace sounds like he could be a salty Australian, right?
And those are all real, Dan?
Yeah, those are all off of Board Game Geek. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And there's also one last one for Brass Birmingham. It's just a one-word review, and it just says Euro.
Okay.
And all these people gave it a 1 that I'm reading off the honorable mentions.
Okay.
He ain't wrong. Euro.
All right, we'll move on to the next game. We're going to Dune Imperium.
Ooh. Don't hurt Rob.
This is
Don't
just
hurt
Dune
Rob.
Imperium.
Go easy.
This isn't Dune Imperium, semicolon, /
Uprising, / bloodshed, or
this is Dune Imperium.
Dune Imperium. All right.
Okay, Dune Imperium.
All right, Rob, 1, 2, or 3?
Let's go reverse this time. Let's go 1.
Okay. This game is an absolute train wreck, a soulless pile of random garbage pretending to be a strategy game. The deck building is a joke, the worker placement is painfully dull, and the combat is a chaotic mess where luck completely destroys any sense of fairness. Every turn feels like a waste of time as you're forced to deal with terrible card draws, wildly broken intrigue cards, and unbalanced mechanics that push strategy and reward blind chance. It's infuriating how long this game drags on, making you sit through hours of meaningless decisions to end in frustration. Overhyped, poorly designed, and a complete insult to anyone who actually enjoys board games. Burn it and literally play anything else.
You hurt Rob's feelings so much he had to leave.
Rob has left the chat.
I was like, no, I can't take it. I just can't take it.
All right, we'll keep moving on. We'll give Rob an honorary point. All right, Wayne, 1 or 2?
2.
All right. This game is heresy. How can you even dare put this stain of dirt on one of the most epic sci-fi universes that ever existed? A themeless game that has no link whatsoever with Dune, but used the franchise anyway, just for the sake of being sold and hyped. And even if it were another theme, the game just feels empty and soulless. Get some cards, grab some resources, try to beat other players at this mini area control game, grab some points along the way, rinse and repeat until the end.
Okay.
And the last one, the deck building is dull. The resource conversion is dull. The worker placement is worker placement. The bidding battles could be more exciting. It's just a mishmash of stuff. Well, at least the scores usually stop around 12 points.
Oh, this is toughy. They all have
1,
such
2,
valid
or
points.
3?
I'm gonna write mine down. I wrote mine down, Wayne. So
I got my fingers up down here. I can just move them up wherever you go.
Okay, me too.
All right, ready? I'm gonna go with number
2.
3.
I think 2 is the false one. I think
Carlos is going with 2. Wayne?
Number 3.
Number 3. And we're going to give the point to Rob because the first one was the fake one.
Oh, really? Okay. That
one
rough.
sounded the realist. Like that had some valid points.
I mean,
without over exaggeration.
It hurt Rob's feelings so much he had to leave.
Couple of quick honorable mentions from this one. It says severe production quality issues. I'm really pissed about that. And the release of basically.
Rob said number 2.
Says number 2.
He's like, I'm backstage. Let him in if he's backstage.
I'm taking his point away because he's wrong.
It was number 1.
All right, a couple honorable mentions for Dune Imperium. I don't like worker placement, and this is the worst worker placement game. Next one, so abstract, it absolutely has no connection to its theme at all. And my favorite, once again, a one-word review, Euro. And
Same
yes,
dude.
that was the same dude, yes.
If that guy,
oh man,
please tell me you looked him up and he's reviewed like 1,000 games and every Euro game is just a 1 and Euro.
I did look him up and he didn't do thousands, he did a lot of reviews and every Euro game just says Euro 1 point. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
We got to have that person on our show.
We got to invite him on. Tell us.
I'll send him a message.
Tell us where the Euro touched you and then what he plays.
There are a lot of valid points in all those reviews, though. That's how I originally felt with Dune Imperium. Like Euro, lack of decision space, gameplay. Like these are all feelings I had with original Dune Imperium.
About the only thing I agree with that the reviews on is the a lot of times the combat, you can spend a lot of resources. Anyway, a lot of money, a lot of time, energy putting guys in resources, and someone flips a bunch of cards and does a couple things after the fact and snatches it from you. But it is what it is, you know. So you just got to prepare for that.
Don't forget, folks, it is a call-in show. 813-618-7099 is the number. What's our last pork and beans for the evening?
Oh, you only want to do one more?
Yeah. You had three, right?
We saved some of these, bro.
How many you got?
I did not know. How deep did you go?
I got 6 of them.
Oh, okay.
Hey, he went down the rabbit hole. We'll save some of those for another episode.
6.
I didn't know how much time I had to fill.
Yeah, we got plenty.
All right.
What's next game?
Yeah. Right.
So I'll let you guys pick. We can either do Concordia, Heat out of the Metal, Finspan, or SETI.
I want Finspan. I want in on the early hate. I want in on the early hate.
Early hate.
Unjustified.
No one even has the game yet.
Yeah, I think a little premature.
Because if we wait another week or two, people might have it, and that hate might be real. Like, no, I want the feelings, no facts.
All right, let's go with the hottest.
All right, we're going to go with Finspans. So, Carlos, you haven't
Rob,
picked
we can hear you clear. We can hear you, Rob. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay.
I can see him.
Okay, you can't see me?
Oh,
I can see him.
I'm on here.
I can see him.
I'm on here.
Oh, I guess my drivers are bad.
Oh, now I can't see him.
No.
You got rid of me and brought me back. Nope.
Okay.
Carlos, 1, 2, or 3?
2.
2. Okay. All right. Finspan. I own and enjoy Wingspan and several other Stonemaier titles and will keep playing them. My rating is nothing but a disgusted reaction to manipulative cheaters. The 10s started it, then used the backlash as an excuse to get all self-righteous and condescending. Of course, it usually takes quite a few ratings for things to settle down into a relatively smooth bell curve centered on the average, but very few games launch straight into such petty, polarized rating wars before they even leave the box. That's review number 1.
That's real, I think.
The next one. An uninspired cash grab that drags an already overused system into irrelevance while tarnishing the brand's reputation. The developer's well-known toxic behavior in the gaming industry community only adds to the distaste of this release. Its launch has been marred by manipulative rating wars, with defenders weaponizing backlash to appear righteous and dismiss valid criticism. This petty, polarized drama feels like a desperate PR stunt and reflects poorly on the publisher.
Wow.
And our final one.
One of those is true. One of those somebody really felt.
Yeah.
All right. And the last one, a cash grab that deserves to stretch an already lame game system and pretentious brand well beyond the bounds of good taste. On top of that, the developer is a recognized bully with regard to interactions with other game designers and publishers. These are the sorts of games that publishers that will ultimately drag the hobby down. 1, 2, or 3. That's a lot of hate.
All right, well, I can't see Rob's fingers, but we'll
I'm going 2.
Well,
Wayne's got 1. I'm going 2.
I'm going 3. And I'm going 3 because there's a lot of buzzwords in there that I think if I asked AI to give me a poor review on Finspan, I think AI would come up with these words, cash grab, pretentious, bully, drag the gaming hobby down, like a little too much, a little too intense with the big words there, Dan.
So you're going with 3. Wayne is going with
1.
1, and Rob is going with 2. Well, the winner for that point is Rob. It was the second one.
Hey, woo!
All right, that tells you how well I can spot a bluff.
So
you and AI, you can't pick those AIs out.
Let me
a few weeks ago.
Let me give you a couple honorable mentions. It says the name doesn't even make sense. I wish there was a way to block games on BGG, as I would block all the spans and Arc Nova faster than the speed of light.
That is a feature I've never thought of before. Like, like on like Facebook, you can block a person. You never see their posts, their comments, anything, right? I just want to block Euros. Like anything to do with Euros, don't even show it to me.
This is one of my favorites. Hey, why not make cat span and dog span and cow span and wolf span and fox span while you're at it?
Jamie's wallet's like, don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, exactly. I heard somewhere they said it's going to be a trilogy, so I'm assuming
he has said himself that this is the last. He's like, they have no plans for future expansions. Obviously, he can never say never, but he's fine with the 3 of these. Speaking of this, the question is, and an honest question is, why do we hold him to a different standard than every other publisher in the game industry?
Because he puts himself out there.
I guess maybe, but Azul and Ticket to Ride, Pandemic, Tiny Epic, you could go through a million games that have 10 different versions that are really all just iterations on the same thing. Patchwork, right? Or Ticket to Ride is the biggest one I can think of, right? And then the Tiny Epic, the shtick of the Tiny Epics, which I own every one of those. Pandemics, how many different Pandemics? How many different Clanks? How many different Dunes? How many different whatever? And there's no memes every time one of those iterations come out of another Ticket to Ride, another Azul, Summer this and Stained Glass of Sintra this and that, whatever. Why is it that every time he comes out with, and he's really 3, Wormspan's had the same treatment as now Finspan, but it's interesting. I just find it interesting that Stonemaier Games gets just crapped on for Wormspan and now Finspan, but all these other game companies, when they have a game that hits, they can just milk that and they come up with other versions of it and they just keep pumping it out. But for some reason, him's company, when he does it, it's just like, let's just crap on it. Like I don't get it. I don't understand.
I think Carlos is right. I think it's the fact that because he's the face of the company. Those other games that you mentioned, the people that made those games, they're not, like on YouTube or Instagram or talking or constantly doing things. So the more people see you, the more they want to talk about how much they hate you. That's just the way.
Haters gonna hate. Haters are gonna hate.
He's a brilliant marketer, right? The way he does it, he puts it out. It's if every other game company did what he does, they would all be making more money because he publicizes well. He hits it like, okay, I'm going to put it out to these reviewers. Please don't review it until this day. On this day, 30,000 YouTube videos for my game come out. And what's funny is all these people who are crapping, and we're not quite at 10 o'clock. I got 2 minutes before I can start cursing. Damn it. But all these people who are just crapping on Finspan and pulling the memes and all they're doing really though is just giving him free publicity. For the last 2 weeks now, everyone's only talking about Finspan. He's probably laughing all the way to the bank. So
yeah,
great. You got your internet keyboard muscles going, and you crapped all over a game. And you gave him more money because more people got interested in it. Because I really was not actually interested in Finspan until everyone started I was like, I already own Winspan. Same thing with Wingspan. I wasn't interested in it. I didn't crap on it. I was like, okay, great. Seems like a cool game, but I already own Wingspan. I'm fine. Well, now I own them all. Granted, I got Wingspan in a Wormspan in a giveaway, but I'm like, now I'm interested in Finspan because I've heard so much about it. So I don't know. But
also all these people that are dumping on their games are not people that have really good IPs that they can market themselves. And if I had a game that was a big hit and I could keep putting out versions or expansions for it, and it's going to bring my company money in, then I'm going to do it. Then they're not thinking of it that way. They're just thinking like, I want something new. It's the cult of the new. It's the curse. Always have to have something new. Instead of, why not just take something that's really good, change it a little bit, add a little bit to it. I don't understand. I mean, I understand what it is, but I don't get why they waste their time.
Yeah. I think you hit it though, is because he's the face of Stonemaier Games and everyone can associate Stonemaier Games with Jamie. it's easy to crap on it because you can point to that person and go, you're just trying to cash grab. But with like, with all the other game systems like Pandemic, there really is
company here.
Other than the guy who created the game, there is no face of the company behind Pandemic. It's just another Pandemic. And we go, oh, great, it's another Pandemic. And no one has somebody to target with that, gamer nerd hatred. Like,
I mean, look at how many companies are going out of business lately because they're not marketing right. They're putting too much out there that's not, people aren't buying enough of. I mean, they're basically showcasing the fact that he's very successful and he's good at what he does because they're crapping on him.
Yeah. So I was going to say, there's people in the chat making some comments, but Chad kind of said what I was thinking here, that people hate success. I mean, I think part of it is that Jamie and Stonemaier have been so successful with Wingspan, and this is going to sound really negative, but they kind of are putting it all over the place. It's kind of out in people's faces. They advertise it on the front of the box. You hear people talking about it on podcasts and stuff about how it's sold this many thousands of copies. It's one of the most popular games at least in the United States, if not the world. And so it's just that success. You're going to have those people who it's an easy target. Hey, everybody's talking about Wingspan. Everybody's talking about Wormspan. Let's find something negative. So, yeah.
What's interesting is if you noticed when he was showing off Finspan on the website, he showed the box. And I want to say, because he always numbers the first print run, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also another way of just poking people, right? Because I want to say on the Finspan box that he had, it was out of 80,000. So in the first print run of Finspan, he's printing 80,000 copies.
Yes, I heard him say 80,000.
An 80,000 print run is 4 times bigger than a large print run. Most game companies print 20,000 copies for a large print run. Kickstarters and 5, 10,000 is a lot of copies. 2,000 is a lot of copies. So 2, 5, 10, 20. So anything over 20 is just an astronomical print run. So here's a game, Finspan, and he's already printed 80,000 copies. So that is also I mean, it's
the first print run. He already ordered
80,000 copies.
Well, no. What I'm saying in my mind, I'm like, that would be another great marketing move to only print 10,000, but start your numbers at 70,000. So people think there's so many of them out there that it's got to be worth something.
True, probably. But knowing him,
it's like when I'm working out, my wife walks in, I'm like 10, 13, 11, 15. Right?
Yeah, you really on one or two.
You ain't working out. Stop it.
We knew that was a lie. You found the lie. I tried to give you the two truths and a lie. You found the lie.
That shows the financial success of this company, though, is he knows he can print 80,000 copies, and maybe he's not going to sell them all right away, but he's going to sell them all in the first 6 months or a year or whatever until that's a huge print run, 80,000 copies. That's
a lot of money up front.
Well, Edmund in the chat says, he presents himself as a very good person. And I think we've talked about that a lot also, that he presents himself as a very wholesome, and from what we know of him, from meeting him and stuff, he seems like a very genuine type of person. And there's just some people out there who just target that for whatever reason. There's always got to be haters. And so that's another part of it, is that he's out there. He seems to be very honest. He seems to be very genuine. And that just drives some people nuts, I think. And they've got to try to find something chink wrong in the armor to attack him on. So, yeah.
And all that, Wayne, you had mentioned, him laughing his way to the bank. I know Rob and I got to meet him. Dan, did you get to meet Jamie when you were out there?
Yeah, I talked to him for 15 minutes. Yeah.
What I got out of him was because he took us outside to chat, Rob and I, which I mean, that wasn't necessary. That was his decision to say, hey, let's chat. And he just took us outside just to chat.
Yeah.
I really do believe he's a genuine person. So when you say laughing to the bank, I really don't. Yeah, I think people do this because they probably know that that's not true. I think they probably know that it probably bugs him. Like, here I am trying to do my best for gaming and, make good decisions to help my company grow, and of course me make a living, but also provide enjoyment to others.
Absolutely.
The guy used to run a church, a Catholic church. I think at one point even multiple churches, like a diocese. So I really do believe he's got a good heart in him for people in the community, and people know that, so they hate on him because they know they can get to him. They can't get to I don't know, Z-Man Games, right? They can't get to Days of Wonder. They can talk all that trash about all the Ticket to Ride games. Oh, another Ticket to Ride map? Days of Wonder don't care. They're not on there every week live.
They're just a corporation. You never see Days of Wonder, right?
They're not on there replying to every single comment that are posted in his boards. He replies to every one of them in the kindest ways.
Yep. The best one was, I love in the reviews for FinSpan, one of the first reviews, he reviewed it. Right? And people were automatically like trashing, like, dude, you're the owner of the company. How dare you review your own game?
Oh, I saw that one, but it didn't include it. I saw that. Somebody's like, oh wow, the owner gives a 10 out of 10. What a shock. You know, it was pretty funny. Yeah.
Let's pop in the chat real quick. We'll go through some of the comments in the chat. Chad Stilson pops in with gentlemen. Sir, you use that term loosely with us.
Yeah, for
very
sure.
Loosely.
Not me.
He says, I give his medications a 1. I couldn't remember where that went to, but we were talking about some angry people on there. Let's see here.
When Rob fell off, probably. Yeah.
Oh, that could have been.
Maybe, yeah.
Downforce is a solid racing game with betting mechanism, says Chris.
I love the betting mechanism of Downforce, but then when you actually play the game is when it's just like, meh. It's just such a runaway leader issue.
Chad is, which I think that's the trap, though, like for the betting.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chad Stilson, what is wrong with these people? Sheesh. This is as Dan's reading the comments.
Yep.
Edmund England, all the way from Sweden. Says, aren't these hate reviews for FinSpan really important? Repeat, the game is not even released.
Yeah.
Let's see. Chad Stilson, I wonder if Ticket to Ride gets this kind of hate ratings. Yep, that's kind of similar to what Wayne was talking about. Aaron Clark couldn't agree more with Wayne. Have no idea why Stonemeyer gets so much hate. Spaniverse is just another example. I tell you what, Wayne, you said when you heard about it, you didn't care. I think the moment I saw it, I sent Rob just a one-on-one message. I think I texted him. Like, oh, FinSpan's coming. This is going to be your new favorite game. Like, I was excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm totally all about that whole span idea. Now, the worm span, that took a weird direction for me. The fantasy fakeness.
Agreed.
But the idea of natural, like, man, I was just one of those kids. I didn't have a lot of access to stuff. So when we went to the thrift store to buy stuff, I'd always go to that section that had the used books, and there's always be like used textbooks and stuff. And I would just pick up just naturalist books and just flip through the pictures and the data and the info on animals. I love doing that.
Yeah.
And that's what like Wingspan felt for me. So the idea of FinSpan is like, oh shoot, I buy those fishing charts, like out of the, you see those fishing charts, Rob, that tell you, like help you identify fish.
Oh, yeah.
And I fish like once a year, but I love looking at all the different fish and trying to understand why are they different? What's the difference with a brim and a sunfish?
Yeah. And what's funny is that I think when we first started learning about the game and we learned that it was maybe a little lighter, it kind of turned Rob off for a second, but turned me on.
Exactly.
Turned me on.
It turned me on. But
it is after 10.
After 10 o'clock?
After 10 now. Hey, here we go. But like I was like, my so what's funny is every kid in my neighborhood, my son's 10, and there's like a million kids his age. Every one of them got fishing gear for Christmas, and they're going to the lake every chance they get to fish. And I'm like, oh, so it's a little easier to learn. It's a little easier not to learn and then play than Wingspan, and it's fish based. Oh, my kid's gonna love this. Let's go.
Yep.
And so that sold me. And then as I watched reviews, it was like, well, it really is only just easier to get into. You don't have to worry about the resources. The resources of the cars, and you get to keep them. And I was like, okay, yeah, sold me.
The more I watched, the more I said, this is it. Like Wingspan has always been just a notch above where I want to be with new gamers. Like, oh man, I want to bring Wingspan out, but and then I got to talk about resources, and I got to talk about the birdhouse and the feeder,
how that works. Yeah,
right. And they have to make decisions on like which cards do I keep and which ones do I give away at the beginning of the game. They have no idea.
Right. Mm-hmm. You don't go worry about that now.
FinSpan sounds like it's going to be that perfect spot.
Yep.
Let's see. Many Munchkins say it's Edmund England. Nope. I do hate all the Munchkins, so I'm
you are here on that one. Yeah.
Come on, we gone too far, y'all. Like, how's that company still around?
Rob's like, no, I love Munchkin. I'm out.
Yep.
Rob's favorite game, Munchkin. He's not here to defend himself.
We talked about Chad and Edmund's conversations about Jamie presenting himself as a good person, and that irritates people. Let's see here. Aaron Clark says, all the 1 and 10 BGG rankings on Stonemaier Games too. I just don't get it. And Dan hit the nail on the head. I didn't expect Dan to come up with a pork and beans for FinSpan because it's really not even out there. Yep. But I guess Dan caught on the zeitgeist of what's up with all these 1s and 10s. This is really standing out.
And we've seen, and Carlos, and you and I watched the weekly Alaboom with Lance Meister, and Aldi, who owns Board Game Geek, has been on there, and he's talked about this, and he's talked about how Board Game Geek manipulates their algorithm. They wash out a lot of those 1s and 10s. They have a way of all these hate 1s and and love 10s. They just wash them out. They just flush them, right? So the BGG rating doesn't necessarily take into account all those 1s and 10s.
All right, so for all you 1s and 10ers out there, the answer is 2s and 9s. 2s and 9s.
Oh, is that what it is? And then you don't have to be in the hate crowd? Yeah.
But you can actually impact the algorithm. It won't ignore you on a 2 or a 9.
Yeah.
Edmund England says, I think I saw that he had received 17,000 orders on the first day of FinSpan.
Wow.
It crashed. When he announced the game, it crashed his website. Mm-hmm. His website crashed on announcement.
Yeah. Well, there's 4 in this chat alone that bought the game. So.
But the 80,000 number, Dan, the 80,000, I saw underneath
worldwide,
that Wizards hoodie you're wearing there. Your eyes went a little wide on that. But I think he's doing it because he remembers all the hate he got on Wingspan.
Yep,
because when Wingspan first came out, he just didn't expect it. He ordered a lot. He just didn't expect the need to be that high.
I think he had 20 or 30,000 copies of Wingspan and then got shit on because he didn't order 100,000 copies.
Right. They called him a pretentious prick because he's purposely
pushing
the demand by cutting supply. So then he goes and orders 80,000. Oh, what a pretentious jerk. He thinks he's going to sell all these in one day.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Nothing like a company, they purposely under order product that they could sell and make money. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And you think about it, it's 80,000 copies worldwide, right? So he probably puts 10,000 copies in Asia, right? And
50,000 in Target.
20,000 in Europe and 30 or 40,000 in America. There's your 80,000, right? So it's worldwide. So
if he printed less and ran out, he would be accused of creating a false demand. Hey, my man Chad understands and gets crapped about that. LOL. Chad's on the. I didn't even read that one yet. Chad is right with us. Always with the pulse on gaming, Chad. Bill Fogarty, new to the chat. As a teenager, I thought that if I was ever in a band, my first album would be called 4.
Because he's had 3 more already, Goes back to, print 80,000, say you printed 80,000, but really only did 10.
It's smart. It makes sense. It makes it sound like you are established. Phone lines are still open, 813-618-7099. Today, so far, we've given the beans on Camel Up, not Camel Cup. We've done some pork and beans on some fake reviews that Dan elicited some probably 40 minutes of conversation just off that last review.
I love it.
It really sparked conversation on that one. We will save those for, as Edmund said, very interesting discussion. We will save the rest of those, Dan, because we're going to intersperse those into the show. I don't think we should, we may not do 3 in one shot anymore, but at least doing 1 a week, I think it'll be a lot of fun.
All right, I'm ready to go.
Says, I just ordered FinSpan. Gosh, Jamie.
Gosh, Jamie. Gosh.
I didn't read it right with the emphasis.
Gosh.
You
gotta say it like the Disney character. What's his name?
Goofy.
Goosh.
So now we're going to move into the twig of the show. This week in gaming. This is where we talk about games that we played this week, maybe game purchases that we've done, some pre-orders, maybe. Anybody pre-ordering games? I know Wayne has.
Just a few.
So this week in gaming for me, I'm going to start off with One Voice. We got together with One Voice this past week and went out to Brandon to a camp for kids with cancer, where kids go to school, spend most of their day there while they're doing treatments, and they did a board game night for them. So in conjunction with Chris from Tampa Gaming Guild, the Beans and Dice, and Tampa Gaming Guild went out there and taught board games to these kids. Man, my heart still hurts for some of the stuff that I saw out there. I was shocked. Like I didn't expect to feel shocked. Like I thought I was prepared. I was not. But what I did do, so gaming-wise, so to keep it on the fun part, gaming-wise, Flip 7. I got to teach a group of teenagers Flip 7. And it started off a little slow. They were trying to kind of understand it. Some of the kids were a little more excited. But as the points started to rack in, kids got it past 100, and some kids were starting to get far back, some far ahead, and then you see the kids in the back pull off like a ×2, ending off with 70 points in one round, and start to catch up. The excitement started to build. Then the social aspect started to come out, because at first they were real quiet, real recluse, kind of just, I'll hit, I'll stay, I'll hit, I'll stay. Then it became, no, you should hit. Yeah, you can do it. 10, 11, 12, who cares? Like they're lying to each other. It became so much fun to watch the kids come out of their shell and really enjoy the social aspect of it.
How do you feel about that?
I think that the greatest joy that I had watching them play Flip 7, because I was the dealer. I just acted as a dealer the whole time. I'm just dealing and flopping to keep the game moving. The greatest fun I had was how smart these kids were. Like I know I'm slow with the maths, plural, all not just regular math, but all the maths. I'm slow with them.
The kids and the pluses.
They'd see me like adding cards in my head and kind of doing this, and then this one girl just kept popping out 74. I'm
like, catch up,
okay. 43.
I didn't ask you, Felicia. Sit down.
32. I'm like, these kids are on point. Flip 7, super hit to the point that I don't know why I didn't think of that game when we did the drive, but
it's probably before when it really hit.
You're right, because that was October. I left my copy there. I said, you know what? I went over to the winner of that game, and I said, hey, I'm going to have you put this in the game library. I went to go give it to Chris, and Chris was like, you should give it to the kid that played it the most, that enjoyed it the most. That way they know it's there, and they can teach their friends. I'm like, this Chris from TGG, he's an intelligent fellow.
Yes,
so I walked up to that girl, and I said, listen, you won the game. I'm going to put this into the game library. I want you to teach this to all your friends. Gave her a Beans and Dice button and a sticker, and she was ecstatic. So she took that with her, put it in the library, and I was like, in my heart, I was like, it's okay. I'm just gonna go home and order another one.
Yeah, well, Rob's got a copy in shrink that you can have.
Right. So I jump in the truck, and I'm like, well, let me hurry up and order a copy because I want to have it available, and I cannot find it anywhere.
Oh, and you're not getting mine back?
Nowhere. But Rob, that's okay, because it wouldn't be me giving something away if I didn't feel it. I will now remember waiting. I'll be that feeling I'll have, with the thousands of games surrounding me, waiting for the back order for the second printing to come out. It'll remind me again of the good time I had this week with those kids at One Voice Academy. So that's one of the games I played this week. Anyone want to jump in with a game?
Yeah, well, Rob just dropped off. Dan, you got anything?
Actually, no, I didn't play any games. Last thing I played was when we did Purple Haze. I've been super busy this week.
Right. Okay. Yeah, writing all those reviews.
Rob can tell you how busy I was, because we were supposed to meet up a couple of times, I think, to play Arkham Horror, and I had to keep canceling.
That happens. This week, I 2 games this week. I played Can't Stop a bunch with my kid. We watched. I love my son's a soccer player. I got to big him up because actually this weekend we're going to a national tournament for 10-year-olds, which I don't quite get. We don't need to go to national tournaments, but we're playing teams from North Carolina and New York and a bunch of other places this weekend. But we watched the U.S. men's national team play Costa Rica the other night, and while we were watching the game, we played a bunch of Can't Stop just over and over and over again. So it was good. I love those kind of games.
Is it still that little mini board, or did you pick up a new copy?
No, it's the copy that I got from Japan. I have
the one that has the mountain look.
No. I post a photo in the Discord server. The
okay, I'll have to find it.
2 different sides of the board. It comes in a small box, but it opens up to be a pretty big board. I have the one that you did on your Glowforge that I can still take with me traveling, whatever. But
I want a real copy of Can't Stop. I'm gonna need your recommendation on that.
The homemade version? No,
the homemade version. Yeah, I like the Japanese version because it's got big chunky wood bits and stuff. But no, it's good. I love I started last summer during the World Cup and Olympics and some of that. Where I watched a soccer game with my kid because I want him to watch more soccer and kind of learn the game by watching professionals. But also, soccer is a great game, but for a 10-year-old to just watch a game, sometimes he gets a little bored. So we kind of play these little games, and Can't Stop just works because he can take a turn, watch a couple minutes while I'm taking a turn, we go back and forth. So Can't Stop. We played, 7 or 8 games easy in a row. And then the big game, I got to the Tampa Gaming Guild on their Sunday afternoon gaming and played Dune Imperium, Dune Imperium / whatever. This was not Dune Imperium. It was Dune Imperium
Uprising.
So it had the Shield World.
It had a wall.
But it had the wall.
Great, beautiful wall.
Yes, with the Bloodlines expansion, which is the newest expansion.
Oh, the new thing.
Yeah.
Not impressed?
It was okay. The Bloodlines. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I loved Dune Imperium. It was great. I loved it. Had a great time. But I could hit or miss with Bloodlines. It added Sardaukar warriors that you could go get. And you can deploy them to battle. And you had some permanent abilities that if you deploy them out, you got to use the ability. Some of those abilities were hit or miss. Some of them were pretty good. I had a good one. And then it replaces the Ix technologies with some Bloodlines abilities that most of us ignored the whole game. But it was great. It was a great game. It was me, Rob, Jim, Odak from our crew, and I forget the fourth gentleman's name.
Brandon.
Very nice, Brandon. He's a very nice guy. Yes. And it was great. And I think my conclusion is Dune Imperium I still prefer. I like this. I think Dune Imperium tends to be more of a slow roll of points. We're kind of getting a couple points here or there, building up. You can have some very swingy point turns in Dune Imperium. You can. But I think in Dune Imperium, again,
Uprising.
Thank you.
The correct one.
It is very swingy. You can score a ton of points in one turn. So, for example, in our game, I was in last place. I had 3 points through 8th turn of the game. And so there's only 10 turns in the game or whatever it is. I forget the exact deck size. In the last 2 turns, I scored 4 and 3 points to win. And I was like, I don't know.
I see nothing wrong here.
I do.
You matched up some symbols. I bet you matched up some symbols.
I matched up a symbol. I won a combat. The combat also allowed me to buy another point. And then the combat let me move up on 2 different tracks, which I moved up on 2 tracks that gave me 2 more points. So it was in 2 turns, I scored 7 points, which I didn't mind because I kind of was building towards that. But I really wasn't
saving your troops. You're not wasting them on battles that didn't matter.
Because most of the battles didn't have points, but I got lucky, right? In one of the last 2 rounds, flipped the card that you got a victory point and then let you move up 2 bumps on the faction tracks. And I just happened to be.
But that's only 2 bumps. You didn't just happen to be there. You planned to be there. You worked hard to be there.
Yeah, I happened to be 1 step below 2 victory points on 2 different factions, so that when I got 2 bumps, I boom, and got 2 points, and then got another point from that thing, and then matched the symbols of 4 points. That was kind of just a lucky Hail Mary, immaculate reception type turn. I didn't think I thought I would get 2 or maybe 3 points that turn, and then all of a sudden I got 4. Okay, great. And then the next turn I got 3 more, and even Jim was like, oh, I guess you won. Damn it. In his mind, that last combat, he was going to win that last combat and get the 2 points he needed because he was at 8. He would get to 10. And then I just, so it was he had a good plan. And that last battle, I kind of just went all in. And I had a couple of intrigue cards that I had 7 or 8 guys in battle and a couple worms. And he had a bunch of worms. But then I had a bunch of intrigue cards that just added a ton more combat value. So it was good. I enjoyed it. I love Dune Imperium. It's in my Hall of Fame already. So good. And I like Dune Imperium. I like Dune Imperium, any of them. Bloodlines was hit or miss. It was I would play with it, but I don't need it. So anyway, that's mine. And I'll turn it to Rob for his opinion.
I agree. I mean, it added some stuff. I'm not sure that I liked the new unit.
The Sardaukar warrior.
Commanders. Sadaka Warriors. There you go.
Sadaka Commander.
Commanders. Yeah, I think that's what they call it. Commanders. Yeah, and you could go to certain places, and you had to pay 2 Solari to recruit them. When you recruited them, there was 4 little face-up chits that gave you some abilities that you could do. Some of them were combat related, some of them were not. They were related to your reveal step, and it allowed you to add some stuff there, some buy power or whatever. And I don't know. Certainly, I could have taken or left that part of it. Once you recruit them, they become just a normal battle unit that you can throw out there for just a normal 2 points in battle. Some of those little abilities, like the one I grabbed, it gave me I think a +4 in combat, but it was a one-time thing. You used it, then you discarded it. Some of them you don't discard, you keep them, and they give you again some little bonus along the side. It didn't really add anything to the game for me. I mean, it was kind of like a take it or leave it kind of thing. The other thing that I'd added was some more contracts. So the Ix expansion, which can be used in both the original Dune or in the Uprising version, had some contracts, a little contract board where you could do complete some certain missions to get some bonuses. This one has some additional ones. There's another board with some other contracts. Well, they're not really contracts, some abilities that you can buy, I guess, is what they really are. And again, I could have taken or left those. So to kind of summarize again, I agree with Wayne. Pretty much everything that they added was kind of It was kind of take it or leave it. It added a little bit of extra thought to the game, but it wasn't anything I felt I needed to play again, I don't think.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. It's Chris. How y'all swimming tonight?
Hey! we're afloat.
Just don't touch the butt.
Wayne.
Don't touch the butt. It's an emo joke. Come on. Am I the only one
What?
here?
What?
Oh, I have no idea what you're talking
on?
about. No clue. No
It's
clue.
after 10.
I'm the only. Oh, okay.
Touching butts. Yeah, I don't know.
You got the joke, just bad context. Got it. And, hello, Chris. Back to you. Phone. The show is yours for the next 7 minutes. It's all yours. You are the host. What's going on?
Well, I was seeing if you guys purchased some eggs today, and I was going to kind of go from there.
Some squishy caviar, the little squishy upgrade caviar.
Yeah, I have now ordered.
I was going to see if they hatched yet.
Yep, we've ordered 4 copies of FinSpan, 4 copies of the expansion bits.
Upgraded bits.
Oh yeah,
Good luck.
yeah. I made use of my champion, Stonemeyer champion membership today.
Oh, nice.
We made
20%
use.
off.
Yeah, we did. Much appreciated. Yep.
I hope Jamie's not watching.
I'm just waiting for my. Wait, no, that lets you do it.
You broke the terms and
Cut
agreement.
off.
No, he lets you do it because I've done it. I've bought stuff for Mike, and I have my purchase address and the shipping address. I put it to him in Seattle. So yeah, totally cool.
He didn't care.
No, he's selling games. He doesn't care. He's got 80,000 of them to sell.
You think he's making a profit on that? Yeah.
What about you, Chris? You buying eggs? Fish eggs?
Yeah, I've already bought my upgrade pack, and yesterday I bought that with the base game. So yeah.
What triggered you to buy it? So like the moment it's announced, everybody gets that something new Stonemeyer, right? But there has to be a moment in that first conversation because you're not going to buy it just because Stonemeyer did it. What was it in your initial reviews that said, "All right, I'm pulling the trigger"?
Well, I watched a couple playthroughs actually from 2 different channels. So I watched the Dice Tower playthrough, and then I watched the Man vs. Meeple playthrough, and then I also watched the review from Dice Tower. So those 3 combined, actually, and I watched a video from Jamie about it. So I watched 4 total videos before I bought it.
Was anybody else surprised about the Dice Tower review of FinSpan? I remember when
A little bit.
Wormspan came out, like they really didn't jump on it early at all. I remember when Wingspan had stuff coming out, they were very delayed. Like, they were almost like standoffish. Like they were kind of like, we're not rushing this. We'll get to it when we get to it, kind of a feeling. And then to see them do the FinSpan so soon and so fast, I was actually a little surprised that they were going there.
So they've had a copy of FinSpan for over a month. So that I did hear them, and actually I watched their cruise blog, and they brought it on the cruise, and people were playing it on the cruise, and right. Like when Z today put it in his top 100 of all time, he's like, "Well, I've been playing it for a month, and it's my favorite. I had Wingspan in my top 100 before, And I like this more than Wingspan. So it made sense for me to put it in the top 100. So I think that they've had it for a while. And maybe with Wingspan, they didn't have it as much in advance. I think and Chris, what sold me about it, like I know Z and Camilla are not huge fans of Wingspan and Wormspan. And they were like, we like this one. So that kind of sold me a bit.
Wayne, that is also the moment that I looked up the pre-orders on it. When that turnaround, that Z turnaround, was that moment for me. What about you, Chris? What was the moment? So you watch these videos, but what was the moment that said, yeah, let me pull up the Stonemaier website?
I already get the alerts from Stonemaier, kind of like Wayne. I get all the updates. So I already knew about it ahead of time from that. And then I saw the components. He had some pictures on there in the first email about it. I'm like, oh, that seems really interesting. And I like the ocean. I like animals. We talked about nature themes before, Carlos, and I dig the nature theme. So I didn't like Wormspan because I didn't like how they went fantasy on it. I just felt like that went away from, what they started a little bit. Yeah, I understand that the worms have spans and their wings, but it's all fantasy. I like the stuff that's real. It's like it's teaching you something and you're playing a game. It's a fun game. So for me, it was, I think, just the hype, kind of a slow build up for me. And then watching the gameplay. I have to watch a gameplay for something like that usually. And I liked it. And then I watched the review and I saw what they thought of it. And then Man vs. Meeple review came out. I was like, okay, I'm sold. So it's kind of the journey there.
Very cool. Well, thanks for asking. Yes, we are on the Finspan bandwagon.
Well, it's only fitting that you bring a game about fish on a boat too. So that's what they did on the cruise. Yeah. It's like the best place to play the game, right? That's perfect timing for them. It's almost like Jamie's like, we're going to time this release a month prior to the Dice Tower, or, right around the Dice Tower retreat time, or Dice Tower cruise, so that they can play on the boat. So I don't know. It's almost like maybe it sold them a little bit more being on the water playing it.
I think for me, it's the reduction of components and resources.
Yes.
Like that's huge. Like
Simplicity.
I can use my cards for different things, spend it as a resource.
I love that.
That's a great decision point because it hurts every time.
And you don't lose it for good. So like in the beginning of the game, you have this fish that's really hard to play. You could use that as a resource early, knowing that, hey, later in the game, I know I'm going to get that back in my hand to play. I was like, I like that. And the idea there's a couple fish already printed on the board. The first turn, you could really play one or two fish. That was kind of cool. I like that idea, that like you could really get going quickly with this game. So
what are the topics you have for us, Chris?
Well, I 100% agree with everything you said about Finspan. I like the same things you guys like, everything you said about Jamie and why he gets hate and all that for no reason. Because he's a nice guy and all that stuff. I agree 100%. But he's got a great business model, great marketing scheme, and he puts out great products. So, I think that's kind of the whole deal. So, okay, so on to the next thing. Stone Spine Architects. I know it's a little early to give it the beans, but what do you think so far of the BGA implementation and the game itself, Carlos and Rob?
All right, so I'll go first. Stone Spire Architect is it's the same company that does what's the one with the drawing? The
Role Player Tale and
Cartographers.
Cartographers. There you go.
Right. Role Player, I'm not too huge on. I think I've talked about that before in the past. But Cartographers is one of my favorite flip and fill games, flip and draw games. I don't know if there's any at all, I guess. But in that genre, that whole placement of stuff, I think Stone Spire Architects, what it does is you're drafting now to select cards that you're going to place in a 4x4 dungeon to try to meet objectives by having different types of dungeons in different places at the right time, and then having different monsters and traps in the right places at the right time. And then you're going to purchase upgrades for those rooms to try to meet those objectives, as well as buy new objectives to help you get more endgame scoring. All that said, I really like the lightness of this game. I think the play on BGA just felt right. It felt right here with the drafting. The asynchronous play style fit this so much better than, let's say, our last play of Finca. When we played Finca, I felt like that really didn't feel like it belonged in asynchronous play. We need to manage that one a little more. This one is definitely like a wonderful async game on BGA. I didn't really focus in too much at the beginning because I was just like, I'm just going to learn it as I play. And then as we got to the end, we had like a 20-point spread from winner to loser, me being loser, Chris being winner. That wasn't bad. That was not a bad spread. High marks on Stormspire Architect, but I can hear people like Robert say it's too light. I'm okay with that. This game fills a good niche. Rob, what'd you think?
I enjoyed it even though it was light. I agree with pretty much everything you said there.
Well, see, Rob says I enjoyed it in spite of being light. I said I enjoyed it because it was light.
Yeah, right, exactly. Which fits, like in my history, my background. So I tend to like heavier games, more complex games. But this one was good, and actually kind of mimicking what you said. The first half of the game, I didn't go to find anything to learn how to play. I just was like, oh, okay. It was pretty intuitive. It was like, okay, I need to draft this. I can see I've got a little card over here to the side. It's got little symbols on it. Oh, those symbols are on the stuff that I'm drafting. I probably need to put those in those places. And then I probably want to make a path that all connects so that I can go through. About halfway through, I was like, boy, the thing I didn't quite catch on to was that we were drafting after we drafted the cards for our dungeons for each round, each level of the dungeon, we had to go and either spend the money that we got on adding extra little tokens to our dungeon, or we could choose in-game scoring objectives. And I thought that those in-game scoring objectives were static at first. I thought we were all scoring those at the end of the game and all those cards that were sitting up there. And then I started seeing those cards disappear. I was like, hold on, why are the cards going away? And so about halfway through, I was like, all right, I got to go watch a quick little video on this. So I watched like 2 minutes of a video. I was like, oh, you can take that buy turn and
becomes
grab one
a private objective.
Instead. Exactly, and then you just score that. So I kind of did a little shift there in the middle of the game. I was like, oh, okay, I need to start grabbing some of those. I think I was probably the last one to grab the first card. But anyway, I do like that aspect of it, that you're choosing what you're going to score at the end of the game. And then I think there's one overall objective that everybody's trying to do, right? But then there's those other four in your, actually there's more than four. They refill as you go. I think I found out at the end that we each had three. And so my guess is once you get three, you're done with that part of it. I think I spread that out. Okay, there you go. So that it's, again, I didn't watch.
Three personal objectives and one public.
Okay. So yeah, I didn't watch anything really. I watched 2 minutes of a 5-minute video, and the whole rest of it was just intuitive. It was just stuff that just by being a gamer I could figure out and I could do. And I played 2 games now. I think we had 2 of them going kind of simultaneously there. And so after playing those 2, again, definitely on BGA, a game I'd play anytime. I'd like to try it on the tabletop sometime, just to kind of see how that is, see if it's fiddly. It feels like it'd be a little fiddly with drafting those little tokens and putting them on each one of your little cards. And hey, don't bump the cards too hard; they might slide around. It's probably not a big issue. But
what the hell are you playing, Rob?
Yeah, I don't know.
What kind of table you got?
In a hurricane on a cruise ship, you might lose track of your games. So anyway, but no, I enjoyed it. I look forward to playing more of this. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm actually in my first game of it, and so I'm finishing it.
You just didn't play with us.
No, I
didn't. You just didn't. Okay, I see how it is.
No, that's a fact.
Well, we needed more time to learn the rules. I was going to invite him, and then I pulled him out of the game because he wasn't ready yet.
I wasn't ready. But the first row, I laid perfect. I'm like, okay, they're all connected, and I'm seeing the scoring things.
I'm a genius.
I'm great. Second row was like, I'm okay. I got most of them, like 2 or 3 of them are okay placed. If I get a secret tunnel here later on, that'll be good. Okay, third row. Okay, nothing fucking connected there. I better get a lot of secret tunnels out. And then the last row, I'm like, oh, hey, let's just put that here, put that there. And I really like. I don't know if I like the fact that whoever gets like what the bidding order, right? If they have enough money, they could buy like all 4 of the secret token areas, right? If they have enough money
in one shot.
And so if you're not,
no, I don't think you'd have enough. It'd be really hard to do that though.
But like 2 or 3 of them, or 2 of them, because it becomes I'm in a 3-player game.
Yeah, you could do 2.
Sometimes would get to me. I'm in the 3rd player, and it's like, oh, I guess I'm not buying anything this turn. Let's just flush all those coins because I could buy a end game victory thing. Fine, but like I didn't get any of the special ability things, little tokens that you can add to the board, and I thought I maybe thought that those little secret passage tokens would be a little more prevalent. In my game, they weren't.
I did too. I was counting on one flop. Like I needed one card to connect the tunnel.
I didn't get one tunnel the entire game.
I couldn't get a secret passage or that card, and it messed up my path.
So I don't know if that's
most of my games. I connected everything. You guys are doing it wrong.
Yeah.
So one of the strategies is you don't have to connect everything horizontally. You just have to connect it vertically. So as long as it eventually comes back to your main path, you're good. So don't have to worry about it. As long as there's just a pointing down but doesn't go left and right, you're okay. You can save yourself that way.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a learning curve there, probably. Obviously, first game you're gonna play crappy, but I liked it. I like the idea. It's cool, and there is a lot to think about though, right? Because you're trying to create tunnels to go through your thing because you need to connect the top to the bottom. You have the overall scoring thing, then your 3 private scoring things. Then you have your little scorecard where you're trying to have certain elements in certain areas.
Blueprint.
Yes. The blueprint.
And it's like you can't do it all.
But then on top of that, you can see everyone else's blueprint. So I don't have to suss out what you're trying to do. I know exactly what your blueprint looks like. So now I'm looking at a draft of 4 cards thinking, well, that helps Rob. And that helps Rob. Well, crap.
I just think that it's almost like too much. Because you have the private scoring, the overall scoring, the blueprint, the flow, but it's like almost
you won't feel that way after a few plays though. The first play you might feel that way, Wayne, but if you play it 3 times, I promise you it won't feel that way. It's easier.
I don't know.
Good teach, good implementation on BGA, very strong implementation on BGA. Dan, if you haven't played it yet, Stonespire Architects, super quick learn, really good implementation on BGA. I can see somebody having 5 or 6 of these running at one time. They're taking a turn is so easy.
Like which game am I playing again now? Yeah.
But the blueprints, just go back to your blueprint. Good call out, Chris. Thanks for the teach on that one.
Yeah, and I'll do a shout out to the BJ implementation. There's 2 things they added I think that are really cool. They do the path. Did you see the little show path button?
I was doing it on Rob's board. Show Rob's path. I want to see his paths.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, that really helps, Wayne. It shows you your path, and it's super helpful.
Yeah, I'd say there's I probably bought more games that I've played on BGA, and then go, I like this game, and go buy it. This is one that I'm like, I'm good on BGA. I don't need to own this one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine.
See, I'm kind of the opposite end on that. Like, I really like cartographers, but I also know that something about the drawing aspect, like that turns some people off. It takes a little more time, and there's thinking of where you're going to put it. This one having the 4x4 grid, I'm like, okay, this can fill a newer gamer niche that I think cartographers for me wouldn't fill. The scoring cartographers, I think, is a little more difficult to grok than I think Stonespire Architects would be. I feel like it's a lower intensity. Now, how to win strategery, like Wayne wants, like all that strategery involved, yes, that would be hard. Pick a card, place a card. That's it. That's all somebody has to do. Pick a card and place a card. Build a cool dungeon.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, too, to keep in mind, guys, is each card has a number of gold that you get from it. And so you're balancing what you need to fill in your board, your blueprint. You're balancing your in-game scoring cards, and you're looking at the gold value. So if you take a card with 0 gold value, it might be a really good card
because it's got lots of icons.
You're
lots of entrances and
lab.
exits. It's a T tunnel.
So if you take a 0, you probably want to take a higher value card later in that round so that you can buy some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really cool balancing act.
Yeah, both games I played. You
didn't catch that, Rob? That like the good cards gave you no money. No. The bad cards, like with only one entrance and one exit, and it was like a 90-degree corner, and it had no icons. It was like $4.
I just drafted all the cards that connected my stuff. That's all I was doing, and then trying to complete my personal objectives. But I didn't even notice the gold thing. I just I got gold at the end. Let me spend it. Yeah.
I just wanted to have the most kobolds. I was like, okay, I need money for kobolds.
There you go.
Yeah, and I ignored that. I ignored that objective mostly because I saw you guys are really hitting it hard. So I kind of backed off of that. I just went for my personal objectives really hard.
There you go.
And you got the win. I wound up winning by like 3 points. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, by 3 points. That was it. It was 102.99, and then I think 82 for Carlos.
Well, and here's the neat thing. If I had gotten that star, if I had drafted first, like I had more money than I think it was Rob had the most that last round, I would have gotten the star, which would have fulfilled my blueprints. I was missing one on my blueprint. That would have been another 6 points.
And I missed my connection.
I get all of them.
I missed my connection by one card. That would have been buku points. Buku. Two buku. Two buku. Purple haze, baby. Chris, we appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah,
always bringing the gaming content, man. So much appreciated.
Thank you, guys. You too.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, Chris. Thanks.
Okay.
Oh man, I've been enjoying Chris teaching games. I'm not huge on BGA. I don't get on there often. I've been afraid to learn new games on it. I think what I've learned by playing with Chris is, you know what, just get in, figure it out as you go. Nobody's going to care. Yep. Phone lines open, 813-618-7099. This is a call-in show. We were just giving you our This Week in Gaming. Rob was talking about his game of Bloodlines, Dune Imperium Uprising Bloodlines with the Ix expansion.
Yeah, so I just again agreeing with Rain on that. It's Bloodlines, take it, leave it. I actually probably think I prefer it without it. It just adds another thing that's not too exciting. So I probably would prefer to play without Bloodlines in the future. Yeah.
The other game I played this week. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say I wrote down what you said when you first started, Rob, talking about that expansion. You said, and I quote, "It added some stuff."
Some stuff.
I heard that and I laughed.
Yeah,
it was so deep, and that's what people come here for.
Stuff. Yeah,
that's what people come here for. That deep thought.
Yep, added some insignificant stuff, not even important enough to really pick out too much. So yeah, just added some stuff, but I'd leave it out. Yeah.
I did get to play another game that I taught at One Voice, and this was fun. The reason I want to bring this one up, it was Catan Jr. I had prepared for it. We played it at home with the family just to make sure I understood the rules right, and I was ready to teach. Like, I practiced to teach with them and everything. So we got all set up, got Catan Jr. on the table, and a couple of youngsters, and I'm talking young. I would say 7 and maybe 9. A couple of siblings, they ran right over. And then a couple of teenagers popped in, filled up my seats, and I taught the game. Little did I know that as I was going through, that 7-year-old was a shark. Like, this was not his first game of Catan Jr. Okay, because the first thing he does is he hands me a gold, a cutlass, and a molasses, and says, "Give me a cocoa." And like, yes, sir. So I give him a cocoa token. He starts stacking up those Coco tokens. Coco is a pirate bird in the game of Catan Jr. that lets you break rules, gives you extra resources. And he, with the most Coco birds, gets to place one of their pirate lairs, their buildings, on Skull Island. And he wanted to be king of Skull Island. Eventually, Mom came over and says, the Coco, thing is really not how you win, son. And he just gives her that head shake. No, Mom, I'm getting all the Cocos. And that boy did. It was fun watching these kids, these young kids that apparently have played Catan Jr. as a family before. And I'm over here thinking, I'm going to teach them. No, they were teaching me. I was getting stuff wrong. They were getting stuff right. Great time. Catan Jr. is a great implementation of a game for kids. I would say 6 and up. I thought he was too young to play. I really did. When he came up, I was like, okay, this is going to be tough. It confirmed 6 and up. This game should be able to work. Catan Jr.
Nice.
I got a play. I'll throw in there a couple plays. Same event, the One Voice event with the kids. I came prepared to teach Rhino Hero Super Battle. What I learned when I got there is that their version was Rhino Hero, not Super Battle. And I learned pretty quickly that there are enough differences in Rhino Hero and Rhino Hero Super Battle that they're not really the same game. And so I had to have Sam was there, also volunteering, and she came over and she played the base Rhino Hero several times. And so she gave me and my son a quick how to play on it. And a real simple game. We were able to get it going in just a few minutes. You're just stacking cards and making floors, and you're moving the Rhino Hero up and down the floors. But, got a call coming. I'll pause.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
This is Jim Odak from Whose Turn Con.
Oh, my man, Odak at Whose Turn.
How's it going?
We are well.
Well, good.
So I logged in just as you guys are finishing up to talk about Dune. What was the overall impression?
It added some stuff.
Some stuff.
Yeah, it did add some stuff.
I know you've got opinion on that also, Jim. But sorry, Wayne, go ahead.
I was about to say that I think the consensus with Rob and I was it's Dune. We love Dune, but Bloodlines was okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't crazy about Bloodlines either. I didn't think it was as good as X by far, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty So I knew that was your opinion as well. That you're like about halfway through, you're like, I'm not quite sold on this.
Yeah, I want to try it again playing it with X. See what it's like. Maybe it's different because the tactiles always play a little bit more of a role.
Sure. So how are things going at the con?
Hey, so we are playing Terraforming Mars with every expansion and creation.
Wrong.
So even the new Preludes 2, which is a first for me. So I'm sure Dan is just rolling over in his seat.
No, do you have expansions from other games included too?
Just grab boxes of expansions from other stuff and
why not?
Stick this in there. Yeah.
Carnival Chaos sideboard.
Here. So, are you ready? No other expansions from other games.
What new games that you played there?
Are you playing big box? With the 3D components and all that?
Oh yeah, this is my buddy. He's got everything.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Dan's asking, what other games did you play?
We played Civolution.
Oh,
we played Thunder Road Vendetta.
Winner.
And Old London Tower.
Oh, I don't know the last one.
It was a decent. It was a kind of a quick, almost filler game.
All of the event cards you played. If you get the 5 step count, and then if you're black at 2 points, if you're blue
That's how we game.
1, you're yellow.
What was that?
What is he teaching over there? That doesn't sound
like you're learning the game in the background.
Oh, sorry, we're in the changing generations. So
is that when the creation
turmoil,
kicks in?
What was that?
Is there an event in between generations?
Yeah, with Turmoil, you have an event, you got to resolve it. It was $2 per.
Very good.
Yeah, I need more signals down here.
Well, Jim,
anyway, I just want to say hi. Just chime in from the con, and I'll be representing you guys either tomorrow or Sunday with the shirt.
Thank you.
Talk us up.
Yeah. Tell your friends out there to call in next week and talk about their experience at Whose Turn.
All the different games. Yeah.
We'll do.
All right, brother. Be safe out there. Have fun. Stay warm.
You too. Oh yeah, it's cold here.
It's cold down here.
I bet. Yeah.
We all got jackets on except for Wayne. He's got the heater on. He's got money.
No, I have a fire.
I dug out a jacket. I dug out a jacket I hadn't even seen in 4 years.
No.
Like an old friend.
All right.
See you.
Hi, Jim. Jim
all right.
Distracted there, but that's understandable.
Hey, he made it a call-in show. He knows the assignment.
Absolutely. You did it right. So anyway, Rhino Hero. I was teaching that. Was able to teach a couple. I brought my son with me, my 12-year-old, and he was able to actually make a few friends there, which was really cool. He got to see. I thought it was important for him to come do a little bit of volunteerish type work, but to kind of see and hang out with some of those kids who are struggling with obviously a big life-threatening type of illness like that. And so he went in pretty compassionate, and then but he found that they're just normal kids. I mean, they were running around having fun. He, like I said, made a couple of friends. He taught a couple of kids Rhino Hero. Had a couple of kids teach him a few games. And then we really just had a great time. The other game I got to play there, I got to learn Reef. It was the first time I'd ever played Reef. This game's been out for a while. Yeah, a nice little abstract game. You played Reef before, right, Wayne? I think I remember you saying. Yeah,
that's good.
Okay, so yeah, it was real simple, real easy. Chris Fetterspiel, Chris from TGG taught Sam and I how to play, and so we played a game with a young man there. I'm gonna see if I can get his name real quick. I think it was Ben. Yes, Ben. we taught him how to play. So there was a copy that was donated per our drive. That was one of the games that was donated. And so Ben was about 13, 14, 15 years old. And so we wanted to teach him how to play so he could teach some of the other teenage kids there. It's a game probably that's not for the 7, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. It's a little more complicated, although we did have some of the young kids come over and just want to play with the pieces and build little towers and stuff with all the little cool chunky plastic pieces in that game. But Ben said he really enjoyed it. We played one time, and then I had my son come over, and I taught him right before we left. And so he really liked it too. So we may end up picking up a copy of Reef at some point. But real nice little abstract fun. Once you know it, you can knock it out in probably 30 minutes or less for sure. So
and it's water themed like Rob likes.
Oh yeah, I love my aquatics. And so
Dan can tell you about all the aquariums you've seen at Rob's house.
That was is that a
he has now.
Is that Vladimir Suchi or who's the designer?
You're just making names up now.
No,
yeah, just throw some.
Bob Suchi, Bob, yeah.
Bob Suchi, no.
I feel like it is. Hold on.
Shadow
might be, yeah. I don't have it here in the BG stats. It doesn't.
No, sorry, Emerson. No, Emerson Matsucci. Sorry, Emerson.
That's Matsucci. There you go, Matsucci. I'm a big fan.
Bob Emerson. That sound almost the same. Yeah.
Happy little accidents. That guy.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, then I played the game of Bloodlines with Wayne. That was it for my game in this last week.
All right. Well, that was our this week in gaming, and of course we're gonna take this now into the OGG, where we talk about our OGG. Yeah, you know me. It's about that OGG.
Geeky goodness.
That other geeky goodness where we get to this kind of like, and what we're really bit last week is we ended the show, like I ended the show, and then we stayed on for like another 15 minutes talking about shows we're watching and stuff.
Hey,
like, why did we just
you see that?
like I forget about that. That's always a great way to end it. But I'll start it off. Wayne, you Cat's got
Wayne's getting attacked over there. Oh my God. Somebody help him.
He just doesn't want. Once he gets up on my shoulder, he doesn't want to leave. So I'm like, get off. No, he's
Wayne had mentioned last week how he watched Skeleton Crew. He finished off Skeleton Crew with his kid. So my son and I finished that off on Monday. All the kids were off school. My company was closed, so we had a day off. I think the inauguration or something was going on, and we
MLK Day.
Yeah, that was it.
Was that it? I'll have to check my calendar. Yeah,
that's why you were off. Your kid was off of school and your company was closed for MLK Day.
Because
nothing to do with the other nonsense going on that day.
So we finished Skeleton Crew, right? And on the table, I had set up a copy of Hero Quest First Light, the new version of Hero Quest. This is like the Target version. It's a small and it uses cardboard standees instead of minis to really save money. So it's like I was super excited about getting it played. But after we finished Skeleton Crew, which, Wayne, we're not going to spoil it, but you were right. It was amazing. Great ending. Great way to end it. Wish it felt like there was a seed of another show, but they did a good job of wrapping it up.
It may or may not. Yeah.
Right. Like they didn't like leave it on a cliffhanger. And I even fast forwarded looking for like end of credit stuff in hopes that there'd be that thing, but it never showed up. Either way, we finished it and it just stuck in my head what Wayne had said about the Goonies. And I'm like, man, it really did feel like Goonies. And I asked my son, had he seen it? Because we owned the DVD. All my other kids have seen it. We had the DVD, or Blu-ray. And I don't know where the Blu-ray player is now, but he's like, no, I've never seen it. And I'm like, okay, we can play some Hero Quest or we can watch Goonies. We immediately went to Amazon Prime and bought the UHD version of Goonies, and it did not disappoint. It's been years since I've seen it. Goonies did not disappoint. My son started off very distracted. Like, I don't want to be here, Dad. I want to go play with my Switch. I want to go play my Roblox and all that other stuff. And next thing you know, he's in there with me. Something about Chunk and his lines and his foul mouth. Like, it just had my son. And then them making fun of Chunk. All those moments. Yeah. He had my son wrapped in. Goonies just does not fail. Yeah. For that reason, I'm wearing my members-only jacket. I think, Dan, you borrowed this in Louisiana, the same members-only jacket when you were cold out there. Because I saw Corey Feldman wearing his members-only jacket in the Goonies movie, and I'm like, man, I'm such an 80s kid.
We haven't watched Goonies yet. It's on the list, but my kid has watched a trailer of it, and Data is what he's interested in. Because he immediately saw Data and saw LM. Is it LM from
KB?
KB. Sorry, KB. I knew his letters, KB. And then, but the character Data, he's had a resurgence, right? So he recognized the actor. I'll say, Malcolm, that little guy, Data, is the same guy from Loki. He's in Loki season 2, and he's in American Born Chinese, and he's in this, and he's like, oh, I know that guy, great. So he really wants to watch it because he loves that. Yeah, so that's up there.
Nice,
love it, such good.
And then finally, I ended the night off because once we were in the 80s, Amazon realized it, and it's recommended The Princess Bride, and it had been years since I'd seen The Princess Bride.
Good one.
Quote that movie all the time.
I've never really watched it.
Really?
I have seen The Princess Bride, but I've never watched it. I had the subtitles on, and I watched it. Like, the lines were hilarious. And I think part of it for me was I had seen a YouTube video on Billy Crystal and his scene, and they talked about how much money they spent on that scene because of all his ad-libbing.
Yes.
So I was like, I really want to watch the comedy in this, and it was hilarious.
I think one of the coolest. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. The thing I love the most is have you ever watched a documentary on Andre the Giant?
No.
Oh,
he is so big. When he puts his hand on people's head, it's unnatural.
I'll find the name of it, but the documentary on his life is phenomenal. And first of all, the guy, he would drink like 50, 60 beers in a sitting because he's so big and his metabolism. But he actually was like, had some depression type stuff, right? Whereas like, I'm this giant dude and everyone always sees me as this scary dude. And he loved kids, right? And he loved just being like a loving, happy-go-lucky guy. And there's in the documentary about him, Robin Wright Penn is talking about him and how loving he was and how hard it was for him to do the scenes because he was already suffering from his disease, were painful, right? And just constantly living in this massive pain. But after the movie came out, he talked about when I'm trying to remember exactly how he said it, but basically after the movie came out, kids and other people weren't afraid of him because they saw him as Fezzik, right? And how much he loved like kids coming up to him and treating him like not a scary giant person, but as a cool person, right? And like how much he loved being in this movie and how much he loved his impact and how much being in this movie impacted the last few years of his life where he was no longer seen as this like massive monster of a person, that he was Fezzik or he was an actor or he was, whatever. And it was a really cool documentary. I mean, think about going through his life, how he went through and how tough it was and substance abuse problems and other stuff and just everything. But like how much he adored being in this movie. It was kind of cool. And I love this movie. And then when I watched the documentary and learned how much it impacted him, I'm like, oh, this is even better. I love it. So it was cool.
So it was a great week of other geeky goodness for me, television wise. What about y'all? Any other geeky goodness?
I got one good, one horrible.
Oh, okay.
I will start with the horrible. So
other geeky terribleness.
Other evil terribleness. I like a good Western, right? And so I love, Yellowstone in 1822, 1923, and Unforgiven over there. So the new Kevin Costner Western movie, Horizon, that's what he left. He left Yellowstone to go do Horizon. And part 1 came out, and it's like 3.5 hours long. It is horrible.
Really?
I am like an hour and a half into it. I'm like, when is this going to get good?
Is it worse than Waterworld?
I don't know, man. It's close. Waterworld actually is pretty entertaining at some point.
Not a ringing endorsement. Yeah.
Oh, it's bad. I am literally halfway through the first part of this movie. So it's a 3-hour part 1 or 3.5 hour part 1, and there's going to be it's going nowhere. The acting is horrendous. It is just bad. Like it's bad. Like Netflix lost a lot of money on this because it's like I can't imagine. It's just
and Yellowstone was for the worse because of it. They had to wrap it up quicker, and it just made it worse. Like for what?
So Horizon Chapter 1, American Saga, garbage. It was just atrocious.
Really?
Yeah, I can't.
I think Dan found a review on it. 1 star, and it says Euro.
Euro.
The
other one is we actually
in
went
the industry we call that a callback. It's called a callback in the industry.
The other one's
callback an early event.
The other one's a little niche, and it's a movie called Flow. and it's an animated movie, and it's won all these awards, and so it's about it's a little under 90 minutes, so only like an 80-minute movie, but there's no voice in the whole movie. It's just animals, and it's animated animals, and it's basically not quite post-apocalyptic, but clearly humans are no longer here. And there's a little cat, and he's running through the woods, and he's running from dogs, and then something happens, and he kind of he's struggling for survival. There's a little cat, and he ends up with a capybara, which is from South America, and then a dog, and then a ringtail lemur monkey. And so there's this weird hodgepodge of animals that end up together, and they kind of have to like survive together. And it's kind of like this survival story, but the 80-minute movie, there's no voice. There's no humans in the entire movie. There's no voice, no spoken word the entire time other than animal noises. But it is brilliantly animated, and you're watching it and you can tell the emotions and the sort of interaction between the animals and what they're trying to say to each other, even though they don't say anything. So it was just very interesting. And what was interesting is after I watched the movie, I come home and I'm looking up stuff on the movie. They made a board game after this movie. Like there's a board game based on it. It's like a cooperative board game.
Spell it out.
I thought I had heard of that.
FLOW.
Flow. Just Flow. So it's very interesting. It's not a very long movie, and like the movie theater here had it. We went and watched it on a Sunday. It was like $6 a head. It was $7. It was like cheap because it's a short movie, but it beat Moana 2 and Inside Out 2's to the Golden Globe. It won Golden Globe for best animated picture. So it was really pretty cool. So I went into it going, really, there's not a single voice spoken in the whole word. There's no humans. The animals don't talk to each other like, anthropomorphic. But it was like, wow, okay, this is pretty cool. And then you're trying to figure out like, there's all these hints of like, well, why is it a capybara and a lemur and a cat and a dog? How are they in the same place together? And there was clearly humans at one point, but that looks Norse and that looks South American and that looks whatever. But then there's natural disaster going on. So you're trying to figure out like, it was pretty cool trying to figure out what's going on with the movie. It was good. It was really cool. I went in very skeptical and I came out going, that was an hour and a half well spent. Flow, FLOW.
Reminds me of that. What was the PlayStation game that came out where nobody talks?
Oh, you're playing the cat. You're playing the cat the whole time, right, or something like that. Or...
Yeah, that one too. Yeah, there's been a couple of them on the PlayStation, but yeah, you're having to learn to communicate other ways to work with other people online and do different things. Yeah, it's interesting. So cool. Yeah, you mentioned there was no speaking, no talking, or anything in the whole thing.
Oh, he's out.
He's out.
All right. Well, let me. I'll jump in then. So, Wayne, if you haven't seen it yet on Netflix, this will help cure that Kevin Costner garbage that you had to sit through a little bit of.
Yeah, okay.
There's a Western on there now called American Primeval.
Ooh, okay. It's on my list. Is it good?
It is spectacular.
All right.
It looks really action-based. Like the cinematography looks like cool.
Is that Sean Penn in that? Looks like or
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but it takes place. I think it's like in the 1850s out west in the Utah territory, and I mean, like you got the Mormon militias and Brigham Young out there, and it is dirty, nasty, gritty, brutal. I mean, there's not a person in the movie, or not the movie, but in the series, they all have dirt on them all the time, just like it would be since there's no bass out there and stuff. I mean, it is good. It'll make that other thing you watch just disappear.
All right, good. This is it was literally next on my list as far as Westerns to watch. So that just moved up. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, there was an article about it on Film Rant or one of the sites that I follow and that I see in my feed. And the producers and directors got flack apparently because of some of the changes they did to some historical moments, and the response was just perfect. Like, we're not making a documentary. Like,
yeah,
we're making a fun series. Like, we're not here to make your documentary. You can go somewhere else for that.
No, this is definitely one that you don't want to watch with young kids around because it is violent as all hell.
The amount of arrows flying by, like in just the trailer, that was like so John Wick. It was so cool.
And it's everything. It's anything but John Wick. That people get into fights and it shits over in like 5 seconds, or it's
so
like
it's
one
realistic.
hit done. It's real. Yeah, somebody gets hit and they're just down. They don't get up, and you're not trading punches. It's really good.
Cool.
Good call out. Any other geeky goodness out here?
Real quick, if I don't get bleeped out on my connection again or whatever was going on.
All right, cut them off.
Weird message coming up. Yep, there we go. Yeah, slip.
You need to thaw your internet line. It's frozen over.
Yeah, something like that. Actually, doesn't seem to be internet. I keep getting a message that my microphone is no longer attached, and then it cuts me off. So I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I don't think I've talked about this one before, but a couple weeks ago I started watching one that I actually learned about from the Dice Tower crew. They were doing their top 3 surprises TV shows of the year or whatever, and I think it was on a couple of their lists, Tom and somebody else, a show called Delicious in Dungeon, and it's an animated series. I think for Tom it was like his number 1 or number 2 best shows of new shows in 2024, and I really went in pretty skeptical, but the idea is it's an anime, and it is a group of dungeon crawlers. It's a dungeon party, and it's half cooking show and half dungeon crawl. So they're working their way through this dungeon to try to get back to one of their party members who got swallowed by a dragon. And so they got warped out of the dungeon by the sorcerer girl. And so now they got to go back in because it's actually the sister of the paladin guy who's the kind of the head of the party. And so they had to get out of there because they were getting ready to all die. But now they've loaded back up and they're going back down to the dungeon.
All right, you sold me. Where do I find this?
Where's it on?
It's hilarious. It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking at it right here. Yeah.
It's hilarious. It truly is. Tom said it's half cooking show and half dungeon crawl, and it absolutely is. It's so funny that the main character, the main paladin guy who's kind of leading the group, he has this weird fascination that he wants to eat all of the monsters that they kill in the dungeon. And so he's finding unique ways to season the monsters and to cook the monsters and to put them into stews and all these different things. And they actually go into detail. You have to cut against the grain, or you do this, and you got to cut out the organs, and you got to do this. The blob, there's the gelatinous cube that they run into, and they talk about how they dismember the gelatinous cube, and they get into the science of the cell structures and the nuclei. You got to separate the nucleus from the other part, and then you got to cook it, and then you got to dry it on a screen. And they run into this other guy in the dungeon who makes cookbooks for how to cook monsters, and he joins their party. And it's a wild ride, and there are some absurd they take it in a couple different directions, but there are some absurd things that happen, and it's just hilarious. It's really funny, and I don't know if they're going to come out with a second season, but there's one full season out there. I want to say it's about 10 or 12 episodes. I think I'm about halfway through with the family, and we're all enjoying it. Everybody's kind of like, let's watch that again. So it's been a big hit so far. But Delicious in Dungeon, what a weird title, but it's been really good. So I would recommend checking it out. Yeah.
You had me at cooking.
Yeah, it's weird. Cooking monsters, and so they have all the typical Dungeons and Dragon monsters that they run into, the kobolds and the walking mushrooms and all the different things. And so it's really funny. Yeah.
Cool. That's on my list, and yeah, nice.
That's our other geeky goodness, and that's going to get us to the end of another great episode of the Beans and Dice podcast, where Thursday nights we take your phone calls to talk about how you game. And don't forget, check out our Discord. You can see in the, what do they call it, the description of whatever software you're using to watch this, YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, podcast, whatever form you're watching, the Discord is in the description. You can also email us at beansanddice@gmail.com for any suggestions on games you'd like us to give you the beans on, or any other comments, or to talk about what you've been up to. And then check us out. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. And if you enjoy what we do here and you want to support, check out our PayPal, our Venmo, and our Cash App under Beans and Dice. That's BEANSANDDICE, either the @ symbol or the cash symbol, depending on which app you're on. Or you can just do a super chat on the YouTube to help support all the fun stuff we do here. We want to thank you for joining in. I've been Carlos.
I'm Rob.
I'm Wayne.
I'm Dan.
Thanks for watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Now I want to see Wayne's cat attack him again.
It's not really a